Sherry, it's so awesome to have you on stage. First thing I'd like to do is just let you introduce yourself so people could get to know you a little bit and a little bit about your program and some of the things you've done.
Appreciate it, thank you. As you mentioned, I'm the Deputy IT Director and the Chief Software Officer for the City of Topeka. But in my role, I also have an opportunity to do a lot of process improvement, best business practices, work with a lot of our businesses, and so that gives me an opportunity to get involved in a lot of programs and initiatives. And this is one of them that we kind of came up with, so it's kind of been exciting.
Yeah, so the title of our session is like from potholes to program goals, right, to performance goals. So can you kind of give just a general overview of the accomplishments that you've been able to have in Topeka with implementing, Capital Projects Explorer and how that's really working in Topeka?
What we started out originally was the request of providing information on our capital improvement projects or CIPs, and basically just wanted to give our constituents and our customers an idea of what their money is being spent on. What is a kind of a simple request, but when we started to work on that, we found out it was actually very time-consuming to collect this information. Because one of the things that we found out was that the information was scattered all over the place. Yeah. So we collected the project as an IT. We went in the system, pulled it out, nothing to it. We sent it to finance. They added their pieces, nothing to it. We send it to the departments to actually get the status updates, and that's where things got a little tricky, because it ended up going through about 30 engineers, 10 PMs, and a lot of people had to put their input in to kind of provide us the up-to-date information, and that turned out to be a long process, and we did it weekly. And then on top of that, we had some requests like, oh, you cannot show this project because it's political. I don't know the information, so you better pull that one off the list. Somebody may ask some questions. So every week, we kind of gone through a laundry list of what we should and should not make public.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds, for lack of better words, frustrating.
Very much so. And it also kind of got very embarrassing. Because what happened is on one of our project lists, one of our council members owns a construction company. So he's always very curious about the statuses of the projects.
I bet.
So he looked at it, and there was a particular project that was in a design stage. He looked out the front window, and there was definitely construction going on. So he called the public works director and asked him, it's like, what the heck's going on? You're giving me incorrect information. Ouch. Because it took about a week, so by the time it was actually in construction, the information was not updated. And there were a couple of them like this. We had projects that had an actual expenditure, but no budget. Very embarrassing. So we had to figure out to do something else about it. And that little example on the spreadsheet, I mean, this thing is about this long. And it was very painful to kind of work through this, and I was like, I want to get away with that. So we did.
That's what you were using?
That's what we were using.
That long sheet as long as this stage?
Yes, pretty much.
Jeez.
That's
and so,
what I thought.
The interesting thing to me is this was a massive undertaking. You had a bunch of hands in the pot. Then you had political people who were watching all of the sources that you had feeding this information. Yep. And I'm sure you had program managers or project management teams that were providing different information than what the Public Works Department had and, various other sources. And so how did you guys get from that state to kind of a place of improvement?
Well, what helped out, I'm actually a certified project manager, so I know how those things are supposed to work. So we ended up going to the city manager and said, we need to do something about it. And I got this, okay, go for it. That's the only thing I needed. So we got our goal was to come up with a solution that has all of the information for every project, every stage, every task, every amount that's being spent and budgeted in one single system. So now what I have to do, and I hope that not too many engineers around, because now I had to work with all of the engineers and all of the project managers, and they're a little hard to get along with.
Oh, not at Socrata, though.
Oh, no, 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 no. None of you guys, none of you guys, none of you guys. You know, so, but the way we did it is we did not force them into anything. So we collected all of them. We had numerous roundtable discussions, got their input, their feedback. What are you looking for? What do you want? What you don't want? And we came up with a list of products, softwares, and applications that would allow, you know, the tracking of that. And then we basically narrowed it down, and we had of the group of engineers agree that this is what we're going to do. We came up with standards, we came up with the design stages, the whole 9 yards, and we started to implement it on a very small scale. And so after the initial setup, people started to realize that, you know, this is maybe not such a bad thing, but it was also quite embarrassing because the information that was entered in that system maybe had the same start and an end date to a project. Oops, I forgot to update it. Or I forgot to ask a particular status code. So it was quite a learning curve. But what also helped that our division heads, our public works director, utilities director, forced their staff into using the application. Because I will not expect spreadsheets, I will not take Word documents or anything. I will go into the system to actually pull my information out of there. And that helped a lot. Wow. So we got the buy-in from the top, so we now just had to get all the line troops in it.
Yeah. So I just want to kind of walk us back through this thing, right? We went from a place where Sherry's dealing with 70 projects, maybe 35, 40 different hands, probably 6 or 7 or 8 different agencies, that's internal and external. None of the data matches up. None of the statuses are matching up. You got council people knocking on your door saying, there's pavement on that street. It's not a picture.
Yeah.
It's not a design, right? And we get to this place where you get in a room and you guys hash it out. You come up with a plan, you come up with a program, you incentivize these people. They build this software that allows you to integrate all of your data into one place. It's now the true source of truth. And you eliminate, I mean, like, come on, like, I worked in government, and the ability to eliminate spreadsheets.
You know what the scary part was, is when I had all of the engineers around the table, I asked a couple questions, like, how do you track your projects? Simple questions. Mm-hmm. I got Microsoft Project, spreadsheet, workbook, sticky notes, and I have it in my head. Mm-hmm. And that piece right there just scared the heck out of me. And I'm going, oh my God, I have an individual that manages probably 10 projects, and all of the information is in his head. We got to do something about it.
Yeah.
Because if he leaves, we're in trouble.
You know, and institutional knowledge leaving government is like, it's a huge issue. We all face it. We have people who are awesome at their jobs, and then they're like, you know, got another job. Yep. And all of a sudden, you are left high and dry.
Yeah, so that right there was the, oh my God, we got to do something moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's what we ended up doing. I mean, that was the next push to kind of push us over the level, going, you know, we have to get control of this.
So how do things operate now?
The way it operates now is that the city council, we have 9 council members and a mayor, we're a city manager form of government. They approve the CIP for multiple years. We receive budget for 3 years. All of this information, after it is approved, is entered into a system. This particular system is used by every project manager, every engineer. They update their statuses, they put their notes in it, they put their task, they put their schedule. It's just one single point. Then on top of that, we've built a connection to our financial ERP system where we actually have the expenditure and the budget. So that information gets feed into it, and then all of this gets feed into the Socrata portal, what is updated on a daily basis. Now, it has some embarrassing moments in there.
Yeah.
Because, talking to the engineers, I said, guys, you have to remember to update all of your dates, and because whatever you put in goes to the public. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Then they get the call going, how come? And so they're learning. I mean, we're still in a learning cycle, but they have gotten a long, long ways. Right now, we have over 400 plus projects citywide in this particular application, with about 180 active CIP projects going on, and all of this is made public. Every dollar spent, every budget, every stage. It got health stats, the whole 9 yards.
And it's updated daily.
It's updated daily, and I don't have to touch it.
It's automated.
Yes. We wrote an API going, go here, pull this, go here, pull this, and feed.
It's amazing. I don't think it's done.
Ooh. Whoops.
I don't think it's done anywhere else quite the same way, which is why it's so interesting to me. And just thinking back on my experience in Jackson, we dealt with potholes a lot, right? I mean, we're southern urban cities, we all got them, right? I haven't seen any in Austin, though. But anyway, we all have them. And one of the main issues we had was there was a lack of collaboration between public works and planning and other departments, because it's one thing to say I've got an issue on my street, or I've got an issue here with a ditch or some type of indention in the road. And there's another thing to say, there's a holistic plan, there's a team, there's a process. And you guys tackled that as well. You made sure that any work that's being done, it goes through a seamless process. So everyone involved, no matter what department they're in, they know when, where, and how they have to touch it. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, actually, we found a few little side effects of going through this process, because some of our projects have utility and public works involved. I put a water main line in, and then I pave the street, and I'll do all of this good stuff. And a lot of times, one department didn't talk to the other one. So they never knew when one piece was done, and so on and so forth. So when we put a water line in one of our main projects, Main Street, they forgot to get the as-built drawings, they paved over. Now it's like, where's the water line? Yeah. So with this process of what came about is we provided visibility to anybody into the system about each one of those projects. So before, we had a project manager for utilities, we had a project manager for public works. Now we have one PM managing both components of it. The other thing that we've done is we kind of put in different stages. From a construction perspective, once the pavement is in or the water line is in, it's done. But it's not, because we have another phase in there that allows, it's completed from a certain perspective, but then you have warranty, you have inspections, you have all of those other components that now provides you a checklist of what needs to be done before it gets completely closed out. So it's just another safety layer for us to making sure we have all pieces in there. It also provides financial visibility, so you can tell, am I on budget, over budget, what's my prospected completion time for, the projects, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And so if you look at the project site right now, you'll see nothing is 100%. I mean, we're at 80-something% on schedule and 80-something% on finance, because we're not filtering for any challenges we may have,
right,
because we're making it public.
You're telling the truth.
You know exactly what's going on, regardless if it's good or bad.
Right. I love that. And one of the things you just mentioned was the way you guys have developed your process. Everything's in one system. Everybody touches the same system. Everybody goes through a process. They know the policy. They can't sign off on this or check off on this before it's done or before it's going through the right avenues.
Correct.
And, one of the interesting things, and I think I was mentioning it backstage, is just yesterday, my phone was blowing up because in Jackson, we had a young lady on her way to a graduation rehearsal. She's supposed to graduate Saturday. And the city, for some reason, had been made aware that, there was a project that was construction was just completed, right? The city signed off to close that project out without a proper inspection, right? And on this young lady's way to her graduation ceremony or practice, there's a manhole jackknifed up in the street. And she flips her convertible, and she dies.
Oh, that's too bad.
And now, and you can Google this, guys. This is actually happening, like, right now. Now, city officials and the contractors are in a fight.
Yeah, city signed off on it, didn't it?
Yeah, because the contractors are like, listen, we fixed the streets. It's the city's issue. We signed off on it. And so, like, I want to make sure that, like, as we go through this, and I know we're talking about it in a way that sounds really simple and it sounds really awesome, and it's, it's data to insights, and it's, you got the process in control, but it's really like a matter of
checkpoints. It's processes. It's verifying that I have all of the pieces, that I have my as-built drawings, that the warranty is delivered, that the bonds are issued, that the inspectors went out, that all of those components that you have to have for a project are basically there.
Yes.
So we created, depending on the project, we created templates that allow certain pieces to be automatically attached. And you cannot close it out unless these things are completed. It's just an additional oversight or assistance to the engineers what are overworked anyway. And then the other side effect to that as well is we were told from all of our engineers, it's like, I am overworked, I got 30-something odd project, I cannot handle anything else. Well, funny, because when all of the projects were entered in the system, there only were like 15 or 16 assigned to the engineer. Well, two things. We either missed a heck of a lot of projects, or it was a little bit overstated. But it also provides them a tool to actually show what workload they do have. So from a budget perspective, it gives another tool saying, hey, I do have resource constraints. We cannot take on any more. If we do, then we do need assistance. We do need additional people. It just supports that as well.
Yeah, it lets you know that, like, we're getting into a critical area here.
Yes.
We're overworked. I'm not going to be able to keep up with the status of this project.
Yeah.
This status of this project is going to be not pleasant because this is out here in the public. This is real. But not only that, this is going to be unsafe because I'm not going to check in with this like I'm supposed to check in with it. And, if we had a system like this in Jackson, say last week, could have saved a life just yesterday.
Potentially, yes. Yes.
And the other thing that's really interesting to me is, like, we all live in cities where we might not be aware, or counties where we might not be aware, but I guarantee you, your county or your city has paved a street before the utilities have gotten there to actually fix the underlying issues. So you've probably doubled or triple played for asphalt on a patch of street that,
We've done it.
we did it a lot.
Unfortunately, we've done it. Not anymore, but
Yeah. But it's a common
history.
issue, right?
It is.
It's a common
Usually
issue.
it is, yeah.
And so, like, the way that this helps not only show the transparency and the budget for these projects, but also to ensure that you're not wasting taxpayer dollars is huge. And so, like, I know we've kind of added the human element into it. I wanted to make it real to you guys because sometimes I think we have data conversations and we don't really realize the human impact that they have. And this project and this program that Sherry has been able to build in Topeka, to me, not only is it saving the money, not only is it making you more efficient, it's saving lives, and it's also doing something that as government, officials and leaders we want to do, which is serve our constituents the best possible way that we can. So, I just want to give you time, Sherry, to talk about some of your favorite parts of this project and some of your favorite outcomes of the program. And if you could, you know, help any of us, me included, with thoughts of how we can improve our own projects and programs, because this is not the only thing you're doing. This is just the thing we're highlighting, right? So I just want to give you time to kind of share with us some of your wisdom.
Well, one of the things that helped on this project is to get actually the people in the trenches involved early on. If we would have pushed it and say, this is going to be, demanded from them, we have not gotten this far, So have them around the table, listening to their concerns, listening to their challenges, kind of really helped us build that. We're a long, long ways from where we want to be, because there's a lot of things that's going to help them make their job better.
Yeah.
But this is a good starting point, So really understanding what their challenges are, kind of opens our eyes off, because it's like, oh, well, it couldn't be that bad. It is. I mean, they got a mass amount of work to do. They fight with contractors pretty much on a daily basis, but having them actually buy into something, this is a pretty good tool. Then on top of this actually has a mobile component, so
Yes.
allowing them to go into the field, having the information at their fingertips when they work with the construction crews and the vendors, and seeing what progress they're making and how easier it is for them to manage their day-to-day, that's a big thing for us.
That's
So
huge.
that's the, nice, warm, fuzzy feeling that you get when you actually done something right.
Yeah.
The only challenge too is we have to continue to make it better. We're still learning, and with every mistakes, we're finding out that, what else can we do? The next challenge we have key performance indicators. It's like how many projects are coming in on the design phases and so on and so forth. We're going to start building that into that as well, in the system as well, so it makes it easier to track those type of things.
Is that going to be
But
automated?
It's going to be automated. But with that, the flip side, now you all of a sudden have visibility. You have visibility into everything, and with that, comes challenges as well. Because people have to understand your decision of doing something or not doing something, it's not just for you and your group. It goes now out to everybody that wants to see it. And that in itself has a few learning curves.
Yes,
You know, so-
absolutely. I think that the one thing that all of us can be honest about is that we always have to innovate. We always have to iterate. We always have to get better. And so it's exciting to see what you guys have done already. It's even more exciting to hear about the way you've taken, this infrastructure issue, and now you're giving greater visibility into the KPIs and those performance indicators, so that you can not only be efficient in your process, you can even be more efficient in how you delve out that work and workload indicators and measures and policy and process at a higher level. So it's pretty awesome.
Some of those things is actually self-serving, because honestly, my staff doesn't have time to pull all of this data manually, continuously. We got a mass amount I have 38 projects in the books, so I want to be out of this business of being DBAs and all of this good stuff. I want it automated, so yeah, I'm trying to help out, the groups, but I'm also trying to help myself and my staff.
I like it. I love it. So
I have to admit, I'm pretty proud of it.
Me too. I've not seen anything like it. I invite you guys to go check out Topeka, Kansas's Capital Project Explorer. It is by far gonna wow you to look at it and see the in-depth amount of information that they have online, and to
we're
know
not done.
that it's,
We're not done.
and to know it's the beginning.
Yeah, it's just the beginning of it.
That's what's wild. So we've got maybe about 4 minutes left, guys. We're gonna open it up to you guys. It's a short session, so we don't have time to cover all the nuts and bolts of what Sherry's been able to accomplish. But if there are questions and specifics that you want to ask about the program in general, or some of the challenges that she's overcome, we want to give you the chance to do that. And of course, if we don't have time to get to all the questions, we'll be around.
Yeah, and find me. I mean, if you're interested, give me a call, send me a note. You know, I'm not that difficult to reach.
So we'll open it up for questions if anyone has one.
You know, this is a very civilized audience.
I know, right? No rowdy people.
I was kind of watching you and see if I had to duck because I was picking on the engineers.
Completely different vibe from the Spasmatics party. Come on, guys. We couldn't have. All right, there we go. I was going to say, we couldn't have.
Thank you. My question is, were there any particular departments that you're working with which were especially resistant to like offering up this data or making it available? And if so, like what was the nature of their resistance? Was it political or technical or, things like that?
There are two departments. We now have Public Works, Utilities, Neighborhood, IT, our projects in there, and the resistance that we received originally was from Public Works and Utilities. And it really was about, they were concerned. What they had to do is be correct with the information they provide. Nobody was holding their feet to the fire before. They provided a weekly update on a spreadsheet, and nobody really questioned if it was in a construction phase or design phase and what the financials was, because it was all internal and it was vetted before it actually went to the outside. So they were concerned about that, the information I'm providing, I have to be as accurate as possible. Okay, so what's the question? You should have done it in the first place. The other thing, what they were concerned about, well, somebody's going to be asking me questions about it. So you should be able to deliver that. But I think it was more of a control issue because we were making information public that never was done before, and they were concerned. But after the initial, publications, they found out nobody was kind of knocking their door down and saying, well, you said that by now you spend $50,000 and you spend $500,000. That was the big concern because we told them, I said, the information is in financial, that's where it's pulling. It's not about somebody's opinion. If you submitted a purchase order, we're pulling it out. So make sure that all your information is there. So it kind of took them a little bit of time to update this information in a timely manner, what before they didn't have to worry about. And I think that was the biggest problem because it's like, I have enough to do, don't take time. We proved to them that the previous updates that they did took them about 3 and 4 times longer. So they lost the argument. We proved to them that the information that's in a financial system actually matched what they have on a piece of paper. They lost the argument. And after that, they gave up, actually.
That's funny.
Well, you have to either disprove or agree with them. But a lot of it was a matter of visibility. They were concerned too much information would be going to the public.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I know is true for all of us is that, data outside of context is dangerous.
Dangerous, yes.
And so everyone, when we deal with the departments and agencies, the number one question is like, are people actually going to understand what we're releasing in a way that's not dangerous or detrimental? So
it took us a few tries. I mean, we had some status codes, we had some categories that did not exactly make sense. So we kind of had to rebuild some of this to kind of make it a little bit more user-friendly, if you may, because from a technical perspective, it was too defined. People didn't know the difference from one or the other one. So we kind of agreed, but everybody agreed.
Yeah.
So it was not just one decision. Everybody agreed and said, yeah, this makes sense. So.
Well, guys, we actually are watching the clock tick down to 0, which means I have to give myself the hook. And thank you all for being so attentive. What I'm going to say is, like, by all means, grab Sherry, ask her the tough questions, all right? Pull her to the side and ask her, like, Sherry, you gave a great talk, but what really happened in the rooms? No,
It really happened.
She's by far one of the most honest, transparent, government leaders I've ever had the pleasure of meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sherry, for joining me.
It was
I've
fun,
had
actually.
an amazing time here.
I don't know why I was nervous. It was fun.
We'll see you later.
Thank you, guys.